Hi guys! So as you probably know, I've been living in Japan for over 8 months now, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about what living here as a foreigner is actually like. This is probably true in a lot of countries, but obviously from experience I can only speak about Japan, and it is definitely a fact that here as a foreigner you're always going to be treated differently than Japanese people. A lot of people I've talked to that live here a long time actually find this to be a really worrying thing because obviously it affects them for a longer period of time. They've chosen Japan as their home and yet they're still being treated as different or as foreigners or as like immigrants, but not as actual Japanese people. Despite how long they've lived here, despite how well they speak the language, despite how integrated culturally they are, they're never going to be Japanese people because they weren't born here and their parents are Japanese, and that's it. And obviously for me this is not that big of an issue. I don't plan on living in Japan for the rest of my life. I'm going back home in a few months and I don't want to become Japanese. But even though I'm only here for a short period of time, I still get this feelings of like feeling excluded and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. I want to start off with the positive sides though, because there are actually a lot of positives to being a foreigner in Japan. Japan, I think in general, is a country where the people are very proud of their culture, and I don't mean that they're proud in an arrogant way, I just mean that they're very happy when people are interested in their culture, especially in the traditional side. And that means that there are a lot of opportunities for foreigners to actually experience that culture because Japan is very eager to share it. And during my time here so far, I've actually been to a lot of events that were specifically either created for foreigners or were free for foreigners, because they just wanted to introduce us to Japanese culture. And obviously I came here as a part of the reason why I came here is to like learn more about Japanese culture. So if that culture is being provided to me for free, that's obviously just an added bonus. I've been to special like shitamachi tours around Asakusa and the area where they would show us like what it looked like. We would go for a walk, we'd take a boat, like we did a whole bunch of stuff, and I think I paid about 500 yen to participate in that, which is absolutely nothing. So, you know, there's like a lot of opportunities like that, and if you go looking for it, I'm sure you can find a ton. If you're in an area with no foreigners whatsoever, you're definitely going to be special. People are gonna stare at you maybe, but usually not in a mean way. They're just interested because you're different, and sometimes they will definitely give you special treatment. For example, when I was in Nagano roofing, if you want to know more about that experience, I'll link a video I did on that down below. But I was living on a farm there and working on the farm for about a week, and for my goodbye dinner we actually went to a little restaurant in town, and it was really lovely. The people, well, my host family, they knew the owners, I think, and they would just like talk with them a lot, but they also like everybody, I think, from the entire staff would come to our like separate little room in which we were eating and like say hello and greet me and be really nice to me and just be like, oh, so nice to see you, like your Japanese is so great. Like they just wanted to meet me, I guess, just because I'm a foreigner. When we were there, we asked for sushi because my host family thought that they were serving sushi, but actually they weren't. They were only serving like sashimi, which is basically just the fish and without the rice. But the cook, actually, he also personally came to our room and he was saying like, because of yours like special, I don't know, because you're a foreigner or whatever, like, oh, I will make you some sushi. And he actually did ended up making us a whole plate of sushi, and we'd already eaten so much so we had to take it home with us to eat because we were so full. But like that sort of thing is, I mean, I'm not saying that that's something that you will like should expect of people to like treat you differently. I'm not saying that should be something that should come from you, but just to be prepared, you know, that there's going to be special treatment that you probably don't deserve, because the only reason why they're treating you differently is because you're a foreigner. And yes, it is positive different treatment, but it's positive special treatment, but on the other hand, it's not really like valid, I think. That's just like in areas where there's not a lot of foreigners, but even like as I said in Tokyo and stuff like that, there's also gonna be maybe discounts for foreigners, especially during like busy holiday seasons where they are expecting a lot of tourists and stuff like that. There'll be like some discounts in certain shops and stuff like that, so look out for that. And obviously also, as I mentioned in a video that I did a few weeks ago where I talked about the merits of not being able to speak fluently, again link it down below, but basically people are going to not expect of you to be super polite, to know all of the rules, to fit into society and the place you should. They're not gonna expect you to to follow all the unspoken rules, to use, I don't know, Keigo language if you're just learning Japanese. Like, nobody is going to expect of you to behave like a Japanese person, which you can take that to mean whatever it means to you. Like, maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. I think that there's two sides to it, definitely, so that's why I also wanted to talk about the negative sides of being treated differently in Japan. So as I said, people don't expect much of you in a cultural way, and they don't expect you to know maybe about their history, they don't expect you to know about the cultural events and stuff like that. So I've definitely had people explain things to me that I already knew a lot, and even if I said like, oh yeah, we discussed that in class already, they would just kind of not listen and just still keep talking and still like try to teach me something, which I think it was coming from a good place from their side, but it can also feel a little bit patronizing to be kind of confronted with such low expectations. Similarly, people don't expect you to speak Japanese, and sometimes even if I start speaking Japanese with somebody, they will reply in English, and even if I keep speaking Japanese and clearly show that I do speak the language, they will keep speaking English, because some people somehow refuse to believe that foreigners can ever learn Japanese. It can be a little bit annoying, you know, when I'm like, I'm learning it right now and I can do it, so please believe that I know what I'm doing, and if you speak Japanese to me, I will more or less understand you, so we're fine, we're good, we're fine. I think a lot of the things I'm mentioning now for the cons are sort of the same thing as the pros, it's just the other side of it. So it's the same for this interest that people show in you. So as I said before, people will be interested in you because you're a foreigner, they look at you, they like see that you're different and want to know about you. And while that can be a good thing because it might be easier to like meet people, it's also kind of annoying, and yeah, it just bothers me when people only want to be my friend just because I'm a foreigner. And I've definitely had that happen before. I had a girl come up to me and was like, oh, I don't have any like non-Japanese friends, do you want to like hang out sometime? And I was like, yeah, sure, because I didn't want to be rude, but also, you know, that's not really a basis for a friendship, because also the stuff like that usually doesn't develop into a friendship. It Often people are interested in you because you're a foreigner, but they're only interested in you superficially because that's all that they're going off of. So they will usually be done with that, like they'll, you know, meet you, hang out, be like, oh, I talked to a foreigner, cool, and then they move on to their actual Japanese friends. And that happens a lot, and I'm not saying that it happens always, I'm not saying all Japanese people do that. I do think that it is definitely something that occurs here, and this happened to me, and I just think that that's not nice, and it's kind of really annoying sometimes. There's definitely this idea here that you're only Japanese if you're Japanese. There's no way to become Japanese. Even the people that were born here with Japanese parents but then maybe moved away to a different country and lived there for like 5-10 years, whatever, and came back, they're not considered Japanese. There's a special word here that's used for these people. It's called returnees, and they're considered to not be completely Japanese but also not be completely the place where they moved to and came back from. So they're like in the middle, they're stranded, they don't have a home basically in eyes of the Japanese society. So I think that that's definitely a big problem. I think it has to do with the fact that Japan was a closed country for a very long time, and until not that long ago, actually, if you think about it. I think that that's definitely something that needs to be taken into consideration when thinking about these things, but also it is very sad because being Japanese is kind of like being part of a very exclusive club that you can only join if you're already in it, and that is a very sad way, I think, to be as a country. The world is becoming this huge melting pot of different cultures, and I think that that's a wonderful thing, because we're not just like stuck in what we're being taught anymore. We are like learning so many new things, and while Japan is doing that, it's also still being very exclusive and very excluding of other peoples. I'm not saying this is only a problem in Japan, but it is a problem in Japan. So that's what I wanted to talk about in today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're living in Japan right now, let me know what your experience of this is like. I personally have only really experienced the good sides, because I think especially coming to a foreign studies university and being only here for 1 year, I think that I've definitely been mainly exposed to the positive sides of the being treated differently thing. I'm not looking to become Japanese, I'm not looking to live here for the rest of my life, so that never really affected me. But on the other hand, I think if you live here for a longer time and you do want to become part of it, you're definitely going to be exposed mainly to the negative sides of being a foreigner in Japan. So that is all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and click that subscribe button. I'm gonna see you soon. Have a lovely week. Bye! Hi guys, so a few months ago I filmed a video where I spoke in Japanese for almost the entire video, and you guys seem to have really enjoyed that, and a lot of you requested that I do something like that again. So that is what I will be doing today.